All right, everybody, we're back. Comedian Vernon Payne is here with me for part 2. We are ready to dumb it down here in the KIA RIO, parked on the Hudson Valley in Albany, New York.
9 o'clock, I'm bored to death. Smoke so much I can smell my own breath. My baby left me, my best friend's not at home. Can't get that woman off my mind. I've never been the brooding kind, but there's still one thing makes me come alive. Yeah, I'm gone for a drive.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's a dumbcast in a car cast. It's a parked car cast. Are you ready to dumb it down? All right, that sounds good. I'm glad you can make it back. I hope you enjoyed part 1 with comedian Vernon Payne, originally from Brooklyn, New York, now living in Albany, New York. And I've known Vern now for 10 years, and we've had a relationship where we've broken bread. And earlier, well, in between part 1 and part 2, we broke whiskey. So we're going to talk about that. Let me let's get Vern in on the conversation here. All right. So anyway, Vern, we're back.
Yo,
we went to the Yankee Distillery. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, Yankee Distillery in Clifton Park, New York.
And we
had a private tour by the guy who runs it.
Matt,
yeah, his name was Matt.
Yeah, so if you're ever in Clifton Park, stop by the Yankee Distillery and maybe you'll be fortunate enough to get a private tour and learn everything there is to know about whiskey.
I didn't know any of that shit
None
he
of
was
that.
talking about.
We know way too much now.
Yeah.
We should just start brewing our own.
I'm thinking about it right now.
Like Hawkeye and Pierce or something like that from MASH. We'll do our own. Is that a reference over your head?
I know MASH, but I have no idea who. I know what those names are.
They had a still in their tent. It's every show they're drinking their own little moonshine.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, when we left off at part 1, so it's what I say. Did I say it's July 18th? It's now 7:43 p.m.
It is. Yeah, we've been out since like 9:30 this morning.
I've been up since 3:30, 4 o'clock yesterday.
Man, Dave.
Yeah, I'm pulling a Dave. This is like 27 hours.
Yeah.
I don't do this for everybody.
I feel I feel grateful.
Do you really?
I feel good. Yeah. I feel like after this, I might have to put out. I don't know what else to do here.
No, it's okay. It's quite okay.
It's okay. All right. Cool.
No. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but and if I was to go that way, I think black would be okay. But I'm waiting for you to get really like super famous, and for me to get super single.
Yeah.
And then like some of the other comedians I know, like, listen, I'm gonna drive the chauffeur, I'm gonna drive the limo, or I'll do the security, and I'll take sloppy fourths, whatever. So you do what you got to do, and I'll be there when you need me.
All right, I got you.
All right. So anyway, we were talking about, so in part 1 we talked about your origins in Brooklyn, about your mom, and then when we walked out of the car, then I learned you had 3 sisters.
Yeah.
And that was news to me. So I'm learning a lot about you. And you're the oldest out of the 4.
I'm the oldest out of the
4. Okay. Yeah. And so I didn't know about that. And you came up here. You did the metal band thing. You did your comedy debut in front of a metal audience. Then you came to the Lark, and you're the only black guy there. And then you met Mo. So now there was 2. And eventually there was 3 and 4.
I think Mo was there first.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mo was there first, right. But no claim. There's no flag. Yeah. Is there like a black, hey, I'm the first, But nobody really looked at, I don't know if anybody really looked at Mo like he was a black comic.
I mean, not in the traditional sense of what black comedy is,
right.
But like he's a black dude doing comedy. You know
what I mean? Right.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
What's great about the two of you, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, what's great about the two of you is that you really both are intelligent guys.
Yeah.
And not that it's surprising to me, but we definitely, without mentioning names, have witnessed other black comics in the Albany scene, and there's a sort of, what's the word, like typicality, or like a,
I mean,
like tell me, you know what I'm going.
Like there's a dumbing down
right.
of material.
No offense,
you know.
Right.
No offense.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a dumbing down with material that, like, it is right at the bottom, you know, and it's just like, this is boring, uncreative, and every other name that you can call it in the book. Which is, I'm like, this, like, it's been done already, and what they're doing is just like a really low form of the highest caliber comics who do that type of comedy,
right?
You know, and it never get calls out in the community because they just let it fucking happen. Sorry,
right?
They let it happen.
Right.
You know?
Right. And no, I get it, man. So, but you know, but white comics do that too, right? There's a corniness. There's a sort of is it different when white guys do it, like this typical yuck or whatever?
Yes, I mean, like, you know, there are a lot of corny white boy comics, corny white lady comics. You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that, like, you know, for an audience of white people, white people kind of give you, white people come with the benefit of the doubt. You know, that's really good. So they allow it to happen.
Right.
You know, so they'll give you chuckles. Black people, we don't give chuckles. Chuckles cost money. You know?
Right.
So, like, we're not going to give it to you like that.
So when a black comic goes on stage, and 99% of the time, tell me if this is true, they're going to be performing in front of a majority white audience.
It depends on where. Yeah. It depends on where you are. Like, you know, in the country, city,
sure,
whatever.
Atlanta's different.
Yeah.
But you could be in front of a white crowd in Atlanta. You could be in front of a black crowd in Albany. But the likelihood, what I remember of our scene, you know,
it's pretty much all white.
All white.
Yeah,
okay.
Like in upstate New York, pretty much most of the comedy scene is all white, unless you go to, like, hood rooms, you know, which there really aren't hood rooms, but if someone does a show in what can be considered like a hood room, then it's going to be all.
So let me ask you something.
All black audience.
In the 10 years, in the couple of years that I ran my show,
yes,
and I knew you,
yeah,
were there hood rooms?
There weren't hood rooms, but I believe Alan Prentice,
a friend of yours who's a stand-up comedian, right?
A comic.
Right.
He booked some of these places, but it wasn't fully hood, but it's surrounding it's the bar or whatever that's around the area was kind of hood. So it wasn't necessarily a hood room, but the majority of the people that were in there were mostly, like, you know, black people in there. So, like, it was, I would consider it like a lower form of a hood room. Like, it wasn't like fully like 100% black, and you got to, like, really show who you are.
Now, if it was, would you have done that? And do you think Mo would have? You can't. I don't want you to speak for. And you know, it's sort of weird to interject him into the conversation.
Yeah.
But the two of you really were different, intelligent, and were not typical.
I know I wouldn't have. I don't think Mo would have either. But like, you know, maybe he might have did it just to piss them off. You know what I mean? Like, just to be who he is, but also to piss them off, or either that, or show them, like, this is a different way of doing comedy.
Right.
You know, that you have to listen. You know, because I was always afraid of doing all black shows because I was always afraid of doing all black shows because my comedy wasn't the stereotypical of what you see in black comedy, you know? And there are a lot of comics who do it, and a lot of them are funny, which I appreciate, and it's awesome. It's great for them. But my thing wasn't it, and it was hard to be a black comic and say really important things at a lower voice that was, you know, not being very boisterous about my appearance and my comedy,
right,
and just telling you how it is the way I'm talking to you now.
Right.
I was always afraid of that. I was always afraid that they would never get recognized, or like they would just boo me or get off.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing.
I feel like I feel it could be just like being scared about it, you know, being scared to do it, and I'm putting pressure on myself to feel that way. But it's also a thing. You know, right. And I did my first all black show in New York this like really cool black girl. She booked me in the spot in Brooklyn, I think Bushwick or whatever. It was like in the back of a Jamaican restaurant, whatever.
Wow.
And it was
sounds black. Bushwick, the back of a Jamaican restaurant.
Yeah.
Sounds black.
So
okay.
like it was a bunch of
doesn't sound kosher.
Definitely not kosher.
Maybe that's a little bit more politically correct. But go ahead.
But yeah, so like I was in the bag and it was like pretty much predominantly black audience. I think there was like 2 white guys there and one of them I brought. So I did I did my thing. I got there, I was scared. I was like, I don't know, but then I did it and like it was dope. But I think black the audience, the black comedy audience have kind of split. So like a lot of black audience members can kind of be into both of the intelligent type stuff and the things that's very loud and crazy. But it also kind of depends on where you are, because if you're like in a very very hood room, that there are like hood rooms in Harlem and stuff like that, I wouldn't do well there.
You wouldn't do well, right?
I wouldn't do well there,
right? Who's a national comic that might do well? Like would Michael Epps do well?
Michael Epps, D.O. Hughley. The funny thing is, like, I don't think Dave Chappelle was received very well. Like, he was great on Def Jam and it was good, like, because of what he did, because he was talking race stuff, whatever. Right. So it was great, but that
was also a long time ago.
But like there's also right that like a lot of his bread and butter kind of came from like kind of taking yourself out of the black comedy scene and going into a different scene, Right. So now the black people kind of like embraced the shit that he was talking about, because now it's prophetic. Now he rounded himself of who he is. But at that time, like even Chris Rock got booed at Apollo. Right. You know what I mean?
Didn't Sinbad? Like,
I don't know about that one.
I saw a documentary. I forgot who was it about. And it was like all these guys got booed except for one. I can't remember. I shouldn't even started it. I didn't know if it was what's his name. I can't remember, the little guy that we were just talking about before.
Oh, Kevin Hart.
I thought like this guy got booed, that guy got booed. Oh, you know who it was? It's Steve, the host of everything.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, Steve Harvey tells that. I sent you that video where he tells that incredible story where he's quitting. Yeah, he's quitting. Then he gets a phone call, and next thing you know, he's somehow going from a show in Florida to a show at the Apollo. He's making his debut, and Sinbad got booed, Chris Rock got booed, maybe even Chris Tucker, like 2 or 3 Hughley, like a whole bunch of guys got booed, names, but they weren't names then, I guess. Yeah. And then Steve Lawrence goes up there. What did I say? Steve Lawrence? No, Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey, yeah.
Steve Lawrence is Stephen Eady. It's another reference. So Steve Harvey goes up there and knocks it out of the park. And it's a great video. It's on YouTube. It's very tearful and sweet. But and the Apollo crowd, is that a hood room? The Apollo, the Showtime at the Apollo.
It's up in Harlem. Like it's a predominantly black crowd, especially if you're black comic. It's going to be a predominantly black crowd, right? And it's a very specific type of comedy.
Have you ever aspired to thought to yourself, I got to be so good that I can do a hood room and I can do a mainstream room?
I have never thought that, but my thing was just to be good in general. That way, like, if people are going to be into me, they're going to be into me no matter what, because I'm bringing something good to them. You know? So like, maybe in the future when things get like really good for me, where I can like, be the best comic or whatever in the world, I can go to a hood room and do that, because people might recognize me or like it's very different when people recognize you in the name. Right. Yeah.
Do you think there's a white equivalent to that whole story? I sort of do, but that would be typical for me to say that. Because I think there's these super intelligent comics, and I'm not super intelligent, so I don't think I could do the Gaffigan thing. I couldn't do the Seinfeld thing. I couldn't do. I think I could do a little bit lesser intelligent, and an audience. I'm not going to blow an audience away with my viewpoints and things like that. I just don't think I'm capable of that. I think I could play a room in Brooklyn. I think I could play a room in Atlanta or California. I think I can cross the political spectrum. I just don't. Oh, okay, like Mark Maron. Like, there's the alternative. Yeah, alternative. I never understood that. Patton Oswalt and the Mark Marons, if he's considered alternative.
Yeah, he was an alt comic.
And Brian Posehn and all that.
Posehn,
like
Maria Bamford. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually see those guys as alternative, but I don't aspire. I've never.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, so I don't aspire to do it.
I think when it comes to alternative comedy, I think it was like you're not basing everything off of getting the laughs, every 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Right.
Like you were doing you and telling your jokes the way you want to tell your jokes without having the structure down on you. Because like Mark Maron can kind of go on like a long rant and get to a joke, 5 minutes in.
Right.
You know what
right.
I mean? So like it's one of those things. The same thing with like Maria Bamford. Like her thing was like telling jokes, but also telling voices. So like something like that probably at that time wouldn't necessarily go well inside of the clubs at that time, because at the clubs they were all bangers.
Right.
It was all you gotta have the laughs, you gotta have all this, you gotta have all that, and they did it. You did it in them. They created their own type of brand,
right?
And then like it kind of got taken over by people who really weren't funny,
right? So like
it kind of put dirt on the idea of what alternative comedy is. But that's what they did. They took themselves out of they didn't get to clubs, so they had to go to alternative venues, which is a kind of a whole part of the alternative comedy thing, and then they told the jokes the way they want to tell them without having to have that structure of 30 seconds.
Right. Laughs per minute. And all that
laughs
stuff.
per minute, which is nonsense.
All right. So I think we covered that pretty good. I don't. Yeah. It's okay. We gotta move on. I'm stuttering. I'm trying to think about how to wrap that up, but that's good. All right. So let's talk about. Let's bring it to current events.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that because
got it all for you.
Let's what a time we're having. We're in the COVID. We were just in COVID. Everything was. Remember the days we were just in COVID.
We are in COVID. We are in racial times. We are in bugs that can kill you times.
Oh, the hornet thing.
You got the hornets.
I haven't even gotten to that.
And now there's squirrels that have bubonic plague. And then in Colorado, somewhere like that, there was the first human case of bubonic plague, because the person, got a squirrel fought them or whatever, and they got bubonic plague.
Wow, this is news to me.
So now we're in a bubonic plague type situation right now at the moment. So
all right,
we are in a hell of a situation.
Hell of a situation. We got these quote unquote Karens that are out there.
Karens, yeah,
and all this other stuff. So. Tell me about, so you and I just drove around in your rental car, and we went to a distillery, and we had samplings, and we drove around, and I was talking to you about, driving and being concerned, and we joked about how funny it would be if you got pulled over, because I'd be in the passenger seat, and I'd have the phone ready, and I want to record it. Like, wow, this is my chance to go viral with you, being your co-star, but and you laughed because you're a good audience, but. Is that really funny? Like, where are you? You live in Brooklyn. Yeah. You commute via the train to Union Square, where you work at this comic book thing, and so you're alone all the time. You're alone a lot. Yeah. And you definitely you dress, as far as I know, appropriately. I've never seen you look anything where I would be concerned. For your safety, not my safety, but for your safety, like. You don't do... Okay, here's a question. You don't do the do-rag thing.
I used to.
Okay. Can you explain that to me and my audience? I've never had a situation where I'm this close to an individual like yourself and finally understand the do-rag situation, the walking in the street with the do-rag, because to me, I feel like that's always an indicator. I know that's not right. Yeah. But it's always like... It seems like that's an indication that something could possibly go wrong. Okay. And I know that's wrong. Yeah. But it's scary to a lot of people because it's either cornrows for me. I'm just being honest. Yeah. Cornrows is always like, whoa. Yeah. And I get that a lot from that guy from the play for the Knicks. Okay, yeah. It's pretty well. Yeah, that was and he did have an altercation with his coach. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. But the cornrow thing is like, oh, I don't know if that's a good choice. Yeah. And the do-rag thing is like, oh. And then, pants hanging down and whatever. I don't know what else is left. So let's talk about that for a couple of minutes. Because you don't do any of that, as far as I know.
No, but that type of stuff was never my style, right? Like it was never my I wanted to be that because I wanted to emulate what I saw in the streets and my hood, but like that just wasn't me. And plus, like my family was all like, pull your damn pants up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like my pants were never down, but they always say pull your pants up. You know what I mean? So all right. So this is what it is, right? You're right. None of that stuff is right.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's wrong that I say that.
Yeah. It's like people who are afraid of that. Anyone who listens to that, do not be afraid of that, because that doesn't.
Don't fear the do-rag.
Yeah, like it's not nothing to like see that and be like, well, this person might do something. That's whether it comes to like with the do-rag or wearing cornrows or having a fro, that is all just white fear. Because
I agree.
Like that.
I don't fear the fro.
Yeah.
I love the fro. I had a fro.
Yeah.
I'll show you my butt mitzvah pictures.
But people are more afraid of the black fro because like it means that like you are very staunch and pro-black and might think and be a certain way. Like it's one of those things where like a lot of things are perceived and put on black people because like people don't realize that the media.
Yes.
And by the media is not only news, but movies, radio, whatever. Like it really puts a focus on black people being a certain way.
Right.
And since there is a majority of white people in this country, and a lot of white people in the suburbs who moved from those areas where we used to live at and where they live at now, only thing they really watch is the news for the most part. The news was a family thing to watch.
Right. Yes. I used to watch Eyewitness News all the time in New York.
It's a family. Right. So a lot of those stories are sensationalized on black people doing stuff, but crime is just crime, like, no matter what. It doesn't really matter what it is. So like when they put these pictures out there of like black dudes in do-rags or black dudes in a dressing a certain
cornrows,
way or dressing a certain
pants,
way, that's all just white fear, because like it doesn't, because there are tons of black dudes out there with low ass pants and do-rag and cornrows who have like like a 6-figure job. You know what I mean? Like they're out there because just because you dress a certain way doesn't mean you are that way. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm around in the middle of nowhere in New York and I see a white guy in a camouflage
outfit, right,
cut off thing or whatever, in a hat, like my fear tells me that maybe it might be that way, and my fear only tells me that way because like there has been a history, like there really hasn't been a history where like for 200 years where black people like beating up white people. It just hasn't been. It hasn't been there for 200 years. It's been that way, the other way around, and especially wearing those type of things, right? But my fear tells me that. But like my fear is also it's also being a little bit prejudiced because like of what I see, and I'm putting my fear on someone else.
Sure.
So then people make it real because they want it to be real. Right. And the only thing you have to do is take yourself out of it and realize that person has nothing to do with it until they show themselves to be who they are.
Right. For the record, I fear the camo.
Yeah.
When I see camo, I get nervous. I work with guys that do the camo. I go, man, when I see camo on the street, I see a cutoff tank top, the army, I see camo, I go.
But see, that's also because of media, because that movie, what was that movie where the guy gets boned by the what was that movie? The Deliverance.
Oh yeah,
Deliverance, like that was a big thing. We were like, oh, that's true.
Oh, Ned Beatty gets it.
Yeah, like
now was that guy wearing camo? I got it wrong.
All the even if he wasn't the typical redneck, quote unquote redneck wear, that is a fair thing because. When you're alone somewhere, and actually it just kind of happened, I forgot where it was, but like, there's a couple of guys in the woods and black guys were there and they got like, kept calling him an N-word and said, the guy thought he's going to get hanged, the guy's not going to hang you. Right. There's all this stuff, like, so that has happened. You know what I mean? So like, that's why we have that fear, because it has happened. Yeah, sure. White people have that fear because they perceive it that it might happen when it's never, because like black people don't give a fuck about you until we give a fuck about you, or until you give us a reason to give the fuck about you. Right. Right. And there's also the TV show Cops. That doesn't help either. And that doesn't help either. But I got the only thing I can say is I don't know. Of course I wouldn't know because I don't travel in that circle. But
to see a guy with a do-rag or cornrows and his pants hanging down making six figures, I would bet against that every time.
And I wouldn't.
Really? That's great. Okay.
I would.
All right,
Yeah, that's the difference. And because
what about wife beaters? When they wear
it's the same thing.
Really?
It's the same. Like you don't know.
You're right. You don't.
All of it is just perception, and that's all it is.
You're absolutely
because
right.
like if you constantly see on the news or like around where dudes like don't care about how they dress or whatever, it is what it is. Or if you see like this like black dude in the tank top and his pants hanging down his ass, beat someone up or pull out a gun, that's just that guy. It's like
right.
Like Patrice O'Neill has like right. Patrice O'Neill.
My audience
has
doesn't know
like,
Patrice by his first name.
Has this like I keep on thinking like, you're a comic, I know you know what that is, right? But he has this great joke where white people don't look at white people as individuals, so something like that,
right?
Like white people don't care about white people. Like we have to care about our own because we are that. So earlier when I was saying like that, I got bullied by black kids. Like
right.
Even though I got bullied by black kids, or I might have like problem with black dudes in general, whatever, like walking around doing stuff, whatever, I still have to love that person because I am that person.
Oh wow.
Because the same thing, because how they feel with a white person does anything to them, I feel the same exact way. So like it's easier for a white person to hate a black person just because like they got punched in 12th grade and then after that they hate black people. I can have the same experience, but I can't hate black people because one, I am that, and two, we're both gonna have the same exact experience. So in any sense of the thing where like we end up being at the same spot and the same things happen to both of us, we can come together even though knowing that like we may not like each other, we can come together to fight whatever is coming at both at the same time.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. Listen, man, I appreciate you being honest. I hope you appreciate me being honest.
Yeah.
We're just two guys trying to make it through this world. And, you grew up in your house, I grew up in my house, and it is different.
Yeah.
It is different. And that's why I'm glad we're doing this interview, because it's different. The guys that bullied you, for the record, though, when you were living in East New York, they weren't wearing Eyes Out shirts and Dockers, right?
I don't even know what it was. No,
okay.
Not Eyes Out shirts.
Right, we'll move on.
Yeah.
But, okay, so...
But, like, the thing is, like people attribute clothes to the person in the crime, and that has nothing to do with it, because like a person can be in a 3-piece suit and still commit a crime, which does happen.
But it usually isn't a physical crime. Upon
there's some not, but like the idea of the crime still happens. That the clothes doesn't make the person.
No.
The clothes doesn't make the person with the crime.
Right.
The person does no matter what they're
right.
wearing. A person can be naked and they can commit a blue collar crime.
Right.
And lower forms of crime.
I get you.
Yeah.
But you know what muddies the waters for me a little bit? The movie Crash.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Lorenz Tate.
Yeah.
And Ludacris.
Yeah.
They're buddies.
Yeah.
They seem like nice guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in the movie, they're walking.
Yeah.
They're talking.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, there's Lorenz Tate. I mean, I've seen him ever since he was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know Ludacris, but like, and they're having, like, you and I, hey, we're talking. Hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I like her. She likes, whatever they're talking about. Next thing you know, they're coming up on Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman, and they rob him.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the movie, I went, I was like, oh man, why do they got to be thieves? Why do they got to be pulling up and, they got, I don't know if they had guns or they're faking having guns, whatever. And then, whatever, the rest of the movie is fascinating. But I feel like I can put myself out there, which I've done with you, I've done with so many people, whatever, not just black, not just white, just so many people. And, I've been screwed by a lot of people, but I put myself out there thinking, I don't care about your appearance. And I've tried to accept piercings. I've accepted crazy tattoos, crazy hairstyles, because I work with a guy who does the piercing thing, and then I try to get past political staunchness that we talked about. I try to get past all that, but I just kind of feel like it's scary because I don't know what's going to come of it. I know why do I try so hard sometimes? I wonder, why don't I just like not try? If something gives me some sort of a yellow flag, just, you know what, I don't even want to deal with it. But I've done some of those, and I've been burnt by across the board.
Yeah.
White, black, whatever. Yeah. But that movie, I don't know if I'm making my point clear, but that movie muddied it up for me, because I was like, see, you think these guys are straight up, and you're walking down the street and you're trying. Oh, because here's the thing. I heard a story about a black guy, a friend of mine, goes into an elevator with his son, and there's a lady in the elevator, and she sees the two guys. So I don't know if he said she was a white woman, but she clutched her purse.
Most likely a white woman.
Clutched her purse. Yeah. But I could see an older black woman, or because there's my wife told me, I don't care if you're black or white. I care that you're younger and stronger. She gets nervous if you're younger and stronger, or whatever, or bigger. But you know. But my point is that I think it's got to be. I think it's okay. I want it to be okay that a person feels fear, that not because you're black, but because you should be authentically be able to feel fear if you're alone. And I should be able to feel fear walking down Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, which I wouldn't do, or Empire Boulevard. Yeah. You know that area, Eastern Parkway. Yeah. I should be able to feel fear. Hasidic people should be allowed to feel fear. They have been attacked in Crown Heights. They have been attacked in Eastern Parkway and all that. So, but then it's a white person in fear of a black person. So now it becomes racist.
Because the reason why it becomes that way is because, and I attribute to this what Patrice said, but also
Patrice O'Neill,
also what D.L. Hughley said, right?
Okay.
And D.L. Hughley said, he keeps saying it, when he says it, it's good. He says the worst place for a black person to live is in a white person's mind.
Wow.
Because that's where all the scenarios come up of like, well, what's going to happen to me, or all sorts of stuff. Because like black people, especially black men in general, are so demonized to be so violent, which is not the case. People are just violent. It doesn't matter who you are, but it is so ingrained in people to believe that black men are so violent that like they do, like it's so ingrained in people to believe that black men have like these like huge dongs, right? Because that's what everyone's.
Wait, what?
But like as much true as it is, it also isn't true. But that idea, that stereotype, lives in the person's head, and they make it true, you know.
Right.
When things like that happen, when it is okay to have fear, but you have to evaluate what is your fear really based on.
Right.
You know, that's how you do it. Because like, listen, like there are times when like I walk down the street at night, like, and then there's like this, you know, hood type of black dude like walking my way, and as a black person, there's a thing that we have when you walk past each other, where like you don't know who's going to do what. So like you don't know if I'm going to like hey what's up, or like be mad that you're looking at me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is also what a dumbass thing too.
Right. And let me ask you, did you say walking down the street and see a hood type dude?
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
Describe. I don't know. Tell me. Coming from you,
yes.
It doesn't sound so racist. What's a hood type dude?
It is. Minus what the person is wearing is just the way that you carry yourself. So you just have a
strut, a
street vibe. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's the walk, the look. You know what I mean? That's what it is. But even though I have my judgment of what of this person or whatever,
right,
based on like, you know, things that happened to me in the past, right? Like, you know, with black dudes, black people, whatever the hell. I just have to be on alert, and I have to be just as on alert with him as I am walking at night in a white area when a big white dude walks down to me too, because I don't know what he's gonna do. I can almost tell what the black guy's gonna do is either gonna be like, you know, give me what's up, or like say like, what are you looking at, or maybe he might think I'm a part of a game, because like that's just a part of the culture. But I can predict that, right? That's fine.
Wow.
I can never predict what the white guy's gonna do, because the white people are unpredictable. You know
what? White people are unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Okay, so here's what's happening.
Yes.
I don't think what you're saying is not true. It's true to you.
Yeah.
And if you and I would spend a lot of time walking together, all the time.
Yeah.
It would be fascinating for us to walk by these people,
Yeah.
and if you say, I think this, and I'd be like, well, that's funny because I thought that. So that's just going to be the way it is, I think. I mean, because we grew up differently.
You're right. We definitely did grow up differently, you know.
But by the way, growing up in Canarsie, Brooklyn, being the latecomer to the white community, as we talked about on your show, where I got bussed in. I used to live in East New York or Brownsville, whatever, and then I got bussed in, and I was late to the whole white civilization thing because that was not my life for the first 9 years. Not to mention, I also lived in a deaf community. So, I mean, I didn't live in a deaf community, but my world was this deaf thing going on. So I didn't live in like this, hey, you know, let's play stickball. Hey, it's hockey season. You know, I didn't do the 4 sports. I was like, I went to Crown Heights Yeshiva, which I didn't belong, and then I came home to Brownsville, my apartment, and I didn't get to play with the kids in the neighborhood because I got back at 5 o'clock when all the other kids were done at 3 o'clock. Yeah. I had to go upstairs and pretend to do my homework, which I never did. So I ended up watching TV. Yeah. But so I never had that. But when I did finally move to Canarsie, there were kids that we talked about on your podcast, the Broken Comic podcast, and they were, in fact, Italian white kids who were, some of them were the children of gangsters. Yeah. And they were angry. Yeah. And they would pick fights. And somehow I was a lightning rod. Yeah.
But the fun thing about that is that like years later, you would never walk down the street with a you know, Italian guy or whatever and feel some type of way from the past. Like it's not, well, this guy is a, you know, is a certain way. When it comes to black people, if that happens with a black kid at a young age, your people's mind frame is that like this black guy is going to do that. You know what I mean? And then that's where the lines cut when it comes to racial stuff, because black people are only looked at as this. You're right. You know. Okay. And also, the way that you feel wouldn't be a thing. Wouldn't be a thing if there was at least 5 to 10 black people that you had as like legitimate friends, because it wouldn't even be a thing. Like, it's like there are a lot of like a lot of white comics who grew up around black dudes who kind of have that like that black dude vibe or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And as much as like, you know, they might have been bullied like I have by black dudes or whatever, right? That thing doesn't pop in their head, you know, because they understand it, because they've been around it and grew up around it. So like if you're a white kid in the projects whose family couldn't get out the projects, even around black people, and when you get older, you're just hanging around people. It doesn't really matter. Like that mind frame of like, this black person is this way or whatever I perceive isn't going to be a thing because you're around these people, you know? Right. It's like, you know, the reason why I feel about white people, because like I'm around them, and not only I'm around them, there's history from my grandma, history from my mom that told me stories. There's history from myself being called the N-word a couple times. Right. You know, so like that history is really there, because there are generations of history that happened with white people and black people that make me feel a certain way, but I can't look at all white people as a certain way. I just have to like be on alert because it has happened. Yeah. You know? All right, I hear you. I know, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I know people that have never lived in a black neighborhood, never went to school, and you know, I listen to them talk, and they talk to me because they think I'm in. And I go, ooh, all right. But my apologies, because I've always been a chicken, you know, a chicken shit, whatever. I have yet to really stand up for myself and stand up for black people and say, hey man, listen, I don't play that. I did with one guy. I'll tell you his name later. You know, you might remember who he is. He was a comedian, because he said something to me once of like, dude, he said something about, I was in the Bronx. I was going to run a 10K in the Bronx, and I posted something on Facebook. He said, oh, you better have your gun because, you know, blah blah blah. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm at the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. I'm looking at Yankee Stadium. There's nothing but beautiful people here that want to run 10 miles, and there were black people, white people, Asian people. It was such a diverse crowd running on the Grand Concourse, and I never spoke to the guy again. I told him off on Facebook. But at my job, I've never really, except for one guy. Well, that's not true either, because a couple weeks ago, a guy was showing me these racist BLM, Black Lives Matter memes, and I'm like, he says, oh, look at this, and he was showing this other guy. There was like 3 of us in the dispatch. I was like, no, I don't want to see it. He goes, hey, let me show you. I go, no, I don't want to see it. And he showed me anyway. I'm like, all right, it's not funny. And he goes, oh, I made another one. I go, and I was like,
what do you have time to make memes? I was like, you know how I am. I'm like, what do you mean you're making? What do you mean you're making memes?
Yeah.
Because I don't understand memes. I don't know where they come. I don't know anything about them. Whatever. It's another show. So then he shows me another one. I go, all right, you know what? But
see,
I probably should have reported him.
But it's like that's the things that like a lot of people have the time to do that, but they don't have the time to actually research things.
Right.
Because they're so on one side and on what they want to think and what they perceive things are, and they're not even trying to like do research on history and people. Right.
Well, this guy's a dope. He doesn't want to research anything. He just wants to be that funny boneheaded. Look what I did, Black Lives Matter, whatever he did. Yeah. And I like, but. You know what? And Jackie Mason does a funny line that Jewish people are always one away from hitting them, one away from calling the cops, one away. Yeah. And I say that out loud. I go, one more time, I would have totally like, listen, I'm calling HR. Yeah. I told you not to show me this, and you showed me this anyway. All right, so I understand what you're saying, and I totally get it. But I feel like the 9 years that I grew up in Brownsville was a lot for me. It was like, it was everywhere I was, and I saw it on the school bus, I saw it on Rogers Avenue, going to Manhattan, I saw it all the time. So for me, but still, for me, I don't have that uncomfortability that a lot of my friends did have when we finally did move to Canarsie. Yeah. They had none of that. Yeah. They never had black people in their lives. So I at least have that. But still, there's that moment in Crash where I go, see? I could have been walking down the street, but I give the nod because I know black guys give the nod to each other. I don't give the nod to white guys, by the way. White guys don't give the nod.
Yeah, white guys don't give the nod.
No, they don't give the nod.
To me, they do, but not to other white guys.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, like if I'm if I'm in a certain neighborhood where like not necessarily I'm supposed to be, but like I'm the the odd one out of there. Just like, oh, hey, well, hey, how you doing?
I get black guys
which is also. Could just be being nice because that's who they are. Yeah. But like it's kind of hard for me to be like, well, I mean, I'm from New York, anyways. Everyone in New York is angry. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like just having that hello, whatever. Again, I'll say it back, no problem, and keep on going my way, not even think anything. Right. But I know that I am the other one out, so like that's always in the back of my mind. Right.
Well, I'll tell you what. Last night I had to drop a trailer in Suffern, New York, at this thing called the Tandem area, and I had to pass it off to another driver from another company who was taking that trailer the rest of the way. Guy gets out of his tractor from his company, and to take my trailer, and I had to give him paperwork. Black guy. I said hello, and I gave him the knuckles. I said, hey, Dave. He goes, Earl. I go, hey, Earl, how you doing? And I talked to him, but I got to tell you, if it was a white guy, I wouldn't have introduced myself, because in my mind I'm going, I bet you everywhere this guy goes, he's the odd guy out, and white guys aren't nice to him. Probably seemed like a nice guy, and I felt good about that. Let me ask you something: is that racist, or is that like reverse racist, or is that just?
I mean, there's no such thing as reverse racist.
Well, I'm just saying possibilities.
But I think
I wouldn't have treated a white guy nearly as nice as that guy, because I go, oh, okay, you know what? My vision is he's probably had some trauma, some difficulty in the industry, because I know who he's probably working with, same idiots I'm working with, and I just want to let him know, hey man, you got a friend. We may never see each other. I just want you to know.
Yeah. So I think that can be considered prejudice towards like a white guy, if you don't.
Well, yeah.
Some form of prejudice.
Well, I don't like white guys.
Yeah, but what I think it is that you are understanding the things that he may have gone through or whatever, and you're trying to like let him know that, like, hey, listen, I'm different than what other people that you may come in contact with, because you are sympathetic to people, and I think the sympathy comes through, and whether he sees that or not, it's fine. The only problem is like when you're intentionally doing it because you don't want to seem a certain way, then rather than just doing it genuinely.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So right now, doing it genuinely, because that's if that's who you are, that's who you are no matter what. So like, it doesn't really matter if that person realizes it. What really matters is the fact that you know what you did. Yeah. And you're not looking for like high fives and
no. Listen, I've always been the underdog, and I always rooted for the underdog. Yeah. And I've always been the weaker one, because I'm not a fighter. I used to joke, I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover, but
Yeah.
I'm not even a lover anymore. So, I'm barely a podcaster.
Yeah.
I'm barely alive, if anybody wants to know for sure. So, I just know what it's like to be alienated. I know what it's like to be alone. And that's not why we're friends. But, I just feel for the people who don't feel like they fit in. By the way, Ava K. Levy, female comedian, I reached out to her. She was down in Ellenville, where she was. I was 45 minutes south of the Log Tavern. She was another 45 minutes to an hour south of me. And I was the one that encouraged her to come up to Albany. And you remember, she was a woman of quite some size. It took a lot for her to come all the way up, leave her sick husband behind in Ellenville, and do that. So, anyway, that was my deal. I like, and that's why I became the host of a comedy show, because I like people to feel comfortable. And if you remember any of the shows I did, I really was... I was a host of a comedy show. I was a maitre d'. I did everything but really wait tables.
You were doing everything.
Yeah, because and I had some help, but I wanted people to feel comfortable. I figured if I can't make you laugh your butt off, at the very least be comfortable and let you guys do the work, because I had 15 comics that hopefully would do the job. All right, so anyway, let's move on to a little bit of other political stuff. Black conservatives. The Hodge twins.
I know. Oh, are they like the
brothers, the twins?
The light skin guys.
I don't know if they're light or not. I cannot comment.
I think I might.
I can't confirm or deny either way.
Yes.
I don't know what you would consider light skin.
Yeah.
And then there's also Brian Logan something. I think his initials are BLM or something like that. But he's a conservative guy, a black conservative. But it's interesting for me to listen to them, and they're really not with this Black Lives Movement thing. You are 100%, right? Or am I?
I'm with it, but
okay,
I have realistic ideas of what they are.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Of what they are.
Of what they are.
Okay. Can we discuss this? So how much time we got left here? We got like 12 minutes left. Let's see if we can do this in a couple minutes. We can't do it in a couple minutes.
No, I mean, well,
it's going by fast.
I'll try my best to put it down,
right.
where you can do it in 12 minutes.
So are we talking about, just to be clear, are we talking about hashtag Black Lives Matter? Is there a difference between something and something else? Because I've been hearing that hashtag Black Lives Matter is just a hashtag, and yes, there are chapters in different cities. Some people are saying it's now becoming a political party. So you tell me your perspective to the best of your ability, what you know about Black Lives Matter and where you stand with it, and how just you go.
Black Lives Matter started years ago when I believed that it was just a number of things happened to black people, starting with Eric Garner when he said he couldn't breathe.
Eric Garner was the big guy in Staten Island, chokehold, selling Lucy's
cigarettes, which was dumb in the first place. Then
wait, what's dumb specifically?
That
there's a law that he can.
Well, the fact that the cops did all that stuff just for selling Lucy's.
I get you.
All that stuff didn't need to be done.
No, of course not. Okay.
They took it overboard when they need to take it overboard. Right.
Right. Go ahead.
But then there was
Tamir Rice,
Trayvon started
down in Florida. The guy says, "Stand your ground."
Stand your ground.
What's the guy's name that stalked him?
I don't care.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Screw that guy. Right. So you got Trayvon Martin, and people still took the side of that guy rather than the kid who was just minding his own goddamn business. And this is where I say the worst place to live, a black person live in a white person's mind, because he came up with all these scenarios and the kid fought against him, and then the kid ended up getting shot because this guy's a freaking asshole. It just is what it is. But it started with him, Eric Garner, then Tamir Rice, the little boy playing with a toy gun, which every little kid did.
Right.
You did, I did, we
yes.
whatever. We all play with toy guns.
Right.
And the fact that the cop came out of his car, just shot him, no warning, no nothing.
It was real
just
quick.
Shot him,
I've seen the video. It's horrible.
And then he's off. So people understand when all the things happening, and then it happens even more, that they have to say, listen, our lives matter because it's so easy to attack a black person when it comes. It's because of what people see around there.
Right.
That black people, especially black men in general, are going to be so agitated and violent towards you. When that's not necessarily the case. And if we are, it's because we're freaking tired of happening all the time. You got Philando Castile, who said to the officer, I have a licensed gun in here, it's in here, and then the guy, he told him, I'm going to get my license registration.
Right.
The guy freaked out in his own mind and pulled out the gun and thought he was going to do it, even though he wasn't going to, whatever, and then did it. You know what I mean?
I saw that, right.
So, like, hashtag Black Lives Matter. So, like, listen, our lives matter. We're letting people know that, like, all these things are happening,
right?
You know, and we need to let people know that our lives are important,
right?
Because it's so easy to take one.
Right.
You know, as we keep on seeing, you know,
right.
It's so easy to take one because that thought is like, all right, I'm gonna do this,
right? Because
there's plenty of things out there, plenty of videos out there of white guys doing the same exact thing,
right?
But being brought,
it's different.
You know,
you're right.
Fine, you know.
Right. So, but there's a reservation. Go ahead.
But
because I don't want to run out of time.
The people who run Black Lives Matter is very different from the people who believe in the idea and who want change. People who are upset about Black Lives Matter because they may or may not be Marxist, that is the dumbest thing ever.
Okay.
America is never going to be Marxist, so you have nothing to fear about a Marxist agenda. Only thing they really wanted is police reform, which would help everyone. It would help me. It would help you. It would help anyone. To have police reform, and everyone should be behind it. But the fact that like everyone's afraid of it because black people are saying, "Hey, we need this," is the dumbest thing ever in the first place. Because you want that, like because it's going to help anything white people fight for is going to help. It's going to help white people in the long run.
Police reform meaning exactly what? Can you do that in a minute?
I hate
the fact that we're running out of time, but go ahead.
There is different ideas of what needs to be done with the police force, more funding, less funding. Right. I think that yes, I think there definitely needs to be more funding in police officers, and it also needs to be a ton more training. And it keeps saying this for years, and this is what black people are like mad about because everyone keeps saying this, but they're not actually doing it. You know, right. They kind of are, but they should be training 10 times more than they are to learn how to de-escalate situations and not take it in a certain place. And police officers they don't get paid as much as they should because this job is tough. I understand it, but
I would never want to do it.
But you gotta understand that you not only did you chose a tough job and a lot of it is being chosen because your family was in it and you want to do it, right?
Right.
And
legacy, whatever.
And to be a good officer, you have to care about the people.
Right.
You know, screw the police politics. Right. Screw all that stuff. You just have to be a good person that wants to do good.
Right.
And you have to learn how to de-escalate situations that you would do in your normal life. Right. You know, but when it comes to police reform, it's saying these things are. This is what we need: de-escalation tactics. Police officers are actually. Learning about the community and being engaged with people in the community and might also live in that community.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, that's a big deal.
You know, because if you
otherwise you're policing strangers and you don't know them.
If you live in the suburbs and you
police the city,
your taxes are going to the suburbs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is helping that school, those kids, and everything. Right. It's not coming here.
Right. But also you just don't know what's going on. You don't know Vernon.
You don't know that area. You don't know me.
Right.
And that's the thing that needs to happen.
Right. I just want to add one word and tell me you agree. You said increase the training, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying proper training.
Proper training.
Because I think we've seen the same footage where some guys get a lot of training and it's bad training. Yeah. It's like, whoa, what is that all about? I just saw a documentary. No, it was on Wyatt Sinak's first show. And they show that guy saying, it's something horrible. Like he's teaching these guys something about killing or shooting. Like, wait a minute, what is that training?
Yeah.
So proper training. Yes. And I'm not for defunding the police. I'm for proper funding. There's proper.
Yes.
Some people get funded too much. They should get funded a little bit less. I also think that more money should go to education because that's.
But see, like the whole idea of defunding police is that just that liberals have no idea how to package it. That's the only thing. Like what you're saying is what they mean by defund the police because that money is wants to be put inside the community for other things. You know what I mean? That makes sense. Or it's also like, you know, I would say the best thing if you get called for a domestic thing, right? Mm-hmm. I would say have a police officer and have someone who's associate work or whatever the fuck that
Right.
that is, like, police, whatever, and then like not armed, to go there first. Both you go there. The police officer stands outside, and the person who has the authority, like the,
because a lot of the work they do is domestic affairs.
Yeah, and you don't need to do that because then like as a police officer, people are automatically scared of you,
right,
and going to act a certain way.
Yeah.
But if you have someone else there that can actually studies that and knows how to de-escalate and get you to talk and get your person to talk, you can make the whole situation go away.
Right.
Right. And so police officers don't need to do that. I would say you would have a police officer, someone that, just in case it gets wild, you would have police officer to back it up, but don't have the police officer go right in and be antagonized, because police officers, they are antagonizing. Right. That's their whole tactic, to get you to do something, so that way they can get you and say don't resist, and then we say you're not, and they make it seem like you are, you get shot. Right.
Yeah. It's all right. Hold on a second. All right, so as we wind down the show, Vernon, let me ask you something. There's a perception, at least maybe in the white community, but there's a perception that there's a violent faction or whatever that goes along with Black Lives Matter. Is Black Lives Matter a violent hashtag, a violent movement, or is that just some crazy kids, or where is that coming from?
All of that is all perception, because people are just scared and don't do the research to figure out what it is. Black Lives Matter isn't violent. Right. And the idea behind it has nothing to do with people who are taking advantage of the situation. You gotta understand, no matter what happens in the world, there's always going to be someone that takes advantage. So when it came to like the looting and rioting, it wasn't Black Lives Matter. It was kids, right, who went to those protests, but they also went to that protest to take advantage of things when it happened later. So when you see rioting and looting, they were part of the march, but there was a thing where like some kids were on the outsides of the march. So as the march goes down, these kids go on the other side, and then and they start breaking things. So that has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. Because
this footage I've seen on TV, these slender kids, most of them very slender, they're wearing black masks, black hoodies, black like all black, and goggles, whatever.
Antifa, whatever Antifa is, has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. Most of the Antifa kids and most of the kids that are disrupting things are like white kids who really want to be a part of the movement. Wow. And a lot of Antifa is white kids, angry white kids who want things to be a certain way, who like anti-fascist nonsense, which is fine, but they take it to a different extreme that makes white people think that it's black people doing it, not realize that it's white people who are doing it.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not a political guy, and I do appreciate you and I talking. This was great, right? Yeah. We had a great day. We hung. I thought we were just going to do breakfast.
We had a fantastic day, but yeah.
And we could probably talk for another hour, but
part 3.
I think that's enough, Vern. I think that's enough, Dave and Vern. That's 2 hours. That's like 4 shows of mine. That's normally. But all right. So where can you do the Broken Comic podcast?
You see the Broken Comic podcast on Anchor.fm, Google, Apple, Spotify. All my social media stuff is cool_as_Vern. You can find me there and hit me up.
All right, I'll post it in the show notes. I'll have my my VA in the Philippines, because I'm too tired to do it, especially after this whole day that we've had here. But what did I say? 5827.
5829.
I swore to my audience that I would never do the show without wearing my glasses, and here I am. I'm not doing it because that says what, 23, right? Yeah. So when that says 35 or 36, I got to hit that button.
Right now.
Yeah. What, 58 or 59?
58.
Okay, so I got one more minute. Yeah. All right, so that's Vernon Payne. Everybody, check the show notes. I'll have all his information there. And you're not doing stand-up right now or story time because
but you can see all my stuff on YouTube, Vernon Payne Comedy, and it's up there. Vernon
Payne, VERNON PAYNE. This is great. You're my eyes. What does that say?
5904.
5904. So we got 30 seconds. So, all right, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. This was one. I broke the sound barrier. No, the time barrier. And you are definitely breaking the color barrier here. Dumbing it down with I'm going to get you a Dodgers jersey. Or dumbing it down with Dave jersey. It says the number 42 on it. Vern, it was great. We're knuckling. And we're shaking hands.
We're shaking
all right,
hands,
we're going to
too.
hug later anyway.
We're blacking it and whiting it.
Yeah. What does that say? I got to hit the button.
5930.
All right, let's just do it now. All right, should be saying goodbye. All right, folks, thank you for listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave. And don't forget to tweet me at Dumb with Dave or email me at Dumbing It Down with Dave. Or call my, what is it? The Dumbline. I am dumb. 3477. I am dumb. I don't know what the numbers are. All right, folks, what does that say? 60.
59, 54.
Count it down.
55.
All right, you know what?